Whether you already have a copywriting business or just want to figure out how to get paid as a writer and get set up with a steady stream of clients and fair industry standard pricing, that is what I'm going to talk about in today's video. As we get into this step by step, I'm also going to take you behind the scenes and tell you about things I've done in my own business. But before we do, I have a checklist of 28 email templates that you need to have on hand as a small business owner. I will link it down below so you can grab it, and let's roll. Hey there, I'm Ashlyn Carter and welcome to episode 83 here on my channel. I am a conversion copywriter specifically for creative entrepreneurs, and I drop videos like this each and every single Tuesday. So welcome if you're new, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button below. It helps me out so very much when you do that and enables me to continue doing more of these trainings. While you're down there, if you consider yourself a writer, hit that like button so I can give you a little virtual hug across the internet. You're my brethren, my people. I've built a $500,000 copywriting business and brought in more than 7 figures in revenue with these strategies and tips that I'm telling you about today. So I'm going to use myself as a little bit of a case study. Now, whether you are already a paid working writer or if you've never collected a dime for doing any sort of writing or marketing writing, my heart is that these tips today serve you. So we are going to dive into the actual tactical steps that you need to take to guarantee business as a paid copywriter. Step away from the freelancer mills and marketplaces. Here we go. Number 1, niche down and then niche again. Okay, we're gonna start right at the beginning. I remember exactly where I was, hanging a left on Piedmont here in Atlanta, listening to some podcast with some entrepreneur talking about the power in niching down to blow up. I remember mentally kind of giving him a little pat on the head, thinking that he didn't know that I was doing pretty great. I was getting a steady stream of all sorts of writing jobs. Basically, if you would pay me money to write it, buddy, I was going to write it. But he was right, I was wrong. The more I continued to niche down, the more my business grew and grew. I recently asked on Instagram for other writers out there to direct message me so I could put them on my list of writers that I knew and could refer business out to. I cannot tell you though how vague some of the responses were. If you're telling me that you write content copy like blogs, and you also love writing sales copy, websites, and emails, and you also love serving 3 or even more different niches, that is probably not serving you. Instead, the responses that got me really excited and the people that I can actually recommend out for different business, they looked a little more like this. They were specific. I write blogs and submissions for wedding photographers, or I write social media copy just for beauty brands. I write Amazon listings and Amazon brand content. Real life, those are 3 working writers who responded. I want you to think about how you can be the go-to girl or guy for a specific problem. Like so many things in life, just because you can does not mean you should. If you're a good writer, you can probably do a pretty darn good job at any project that comes across your desk or comes your way. But just because you can does not mean you should as a smart business owner. When it comes to copywriting and entrepreneurship in general, I am all for being more of a specialist than a generalist. You can niche out the more your business grows, but nowadays, as you're starting, because the industry and the marketplace is so saturated, I think it just really helps you out if you can start small, niche down, and then blow up. So I recommend choosing a horizontal niche first. Decide what type of copy you want to write that reaches a wide array of individuals regardless of industry. For example, do you want to work in direct mail or print copy? I feel like lately I've gotten the most fun brochures in the mail from brands like Daily Harvest and Casper. That could be fun. Or do you want to do website copy, ad copywriting? Maybe email copy is more your style, or brand messaging. But maybe it's blog content copy, content marketing pieces, or any sort of online article. Maybe you like writing white papers or opt-in copy. You could specialize in video script copywriting or scripts in general. Maybe it's more quizzes and other sorts of lead gen copywriting. Ghostwriting for books and ebooks is something that I see and we're asked about a lot. I don't do that. Maybe SEO copywriting is more your style. Or do you want to focus on a specific type of service like copy editing, or maybe you just do public relations writing for small businesses and focus on pitches? See what I mean? Again, to use my business as an example, my team and I focus on a very, very small list of specific things. I am just interested in conversion copy. What that looks like is website copy and all the brand messaging that goes along with it, email copy, and launch copywriting. Launch copy needs include the ads, all of the email funnel, and the setup that goes behind that, sales pages, landing pages, all of that is baked into launch copy. And that is what we do. I do not touch content marketing pieces, things like blogs or any sort of opt-in copy, freebie download copy. I don't do any script writing, tried it, hated it, and I never touch social media copy apart from ads. After you've picked a horizontal niche, choose a vertical niche. This is where you want to serve a specific audience and their needs. This is also where I see a lot of copywriters and entrepreneurs in general resist. Now, you don't have to do this to be successful or have a great business. I'm just, again, telling you behind the scenes of what I say when people ask me how I grew. This is how. Become the go-to girl for a very specific group of people. For example, I picked creative entrepreneurs. This typically includes the creative types like artists, photographers, designers, wedding professionals. That type of people, that's my person. I always say that if people enjoy my content and my marketing and want to come along for the ride, even though they don't specifically call themselves a creative, that's fine. You're all welcome. Come on in. But specifically, when I'm strategizing my business and my marketing, I know exactly who I'm targeting. I chose this group because even though my background was in agency and corporate marketing and I serviced industries like the airline industry, banking, and restaurants, on the side, I was doing wedding calligraphy as a moonlight hobby. I knew what it was like to have to sell the pretty to a visually driven marketplace. So when it came to niching, that's why I chose what I did. I tell my students, find the you-sized gap in the market and go fill it. I love this quote from Tim Urban. Basically, he said, I figured there were at least 1,000 other me's in the world, so I decided to write to that person. You have to be okay not working or writing for everybody. I know it's hard. I resisted niching too. I didn't even want to specifically put a stake in the ground and say, I do launch copy. I thought that was too specific. But I'm telling you, riches are in the niches. Bonus tip, this stuff helps you get found on Google. If someone searches for a specific writing need and your website pops up, they're more likely to go there because they see that you specialize. Like I said, if people who don't consider themselves a traditional creative are attracted to what I do, they are welcome, but this helps me focus my marketing efforts. I know my audience isn't necessarily hanging out on LinkedIn. They're on platforms like Pinterest and Instagram. Regardless of the niche you pick, you want to make sure that your website clearly communicates who you write for and who you don't. Take a dose of your own medicine. This is the kind of stuff as a marketing writer you know to be true, so flip the mirror around and look at your own business. Is it clear what you write? Step number 2, don't call yourself a freelancer. One thing that was helpful when I started my business is the moment that I quit looking at myself as a freelancer and started calling myself a business owner, I became more profitable. There are so many writing and freelance mills out there. I know you've seen them. But the problem with those is that pricing in that kind of a marketplace becomes arbitrary. You're unable to explain and argue for the value that you and your brain bring to the table. This is a mindset thing. When you see yourself as a business owner, you enable yourself to step into a place of owning that client experience, all of the budgeting and the overhead that goes into a business. Marketing, client acquisition and prospecting, managing your time, building a brand, that all comes into play when you consider yourself more of a business owner. Taking action on this is as simple as starting to refer to yourself not as a freelancer, but as a small business owner. Packaging and pricing become a lot easier when you work through this mindset shift as well. Putting together packages to service clients with specifics is an easier way to bundle and explain the value of all of the research that you're putting into your writing services. Investing in a client relationship management tool, a CRM, is key here. I've used HoneyBook since my first year in business. I love it. I've created a lot of different tutorials on it. I recently created a video on how to create and send the perfect proposal inside the platform. I will link it below if you're interested. I also want to show you a cool tool that helped me create a base level of consistent work and income that I could count on while I was building my brand. It's called Skyward, so I'm going to flip the camera around and show you what it looks like. Okay, this is Skyward, the website I'm telling you about, and it was a great place to start and have a steady stream of content marketing projects that I could work on. So yes, in my experience, it was definitely all content copywriting, but I learned a lot about SEO copywriting. It was a great way for me to kind of practice and hone my chops. This is the main page. So what you want to do is sign up for an account, and you can even talk to it about things that you're interested in. I mostly wrote for like travel beats and tech a little bit. But for example, so I had a background in Delta Airlines, so I understood content and copywriting for a travel standpoint. So one of the things that I did a lot of was writing content marketing pieces for Princess Cruises. So that was one thing that was assigned to me often. You work with a team and they will assign you projects. They also manage your deadlines. You can, I found, negotiate a little bit with the rate, not a ton, but it's kind of one of those things like if you can prove that they should raise it a little bit, then you can. I think overall I made about $3,500 using Skyward and freelancing, I guess, through this platform. So I found it as a great way to get started as I built my business. If you're wondering how to build out your working style and your schedule, that is something that I learned the more and more I took on clients and figured out my writing process. Like I said, there is more information on the emails that you need to have in your arsenal so you can professionally respond and communicate with your clients. It's all inside that free checklist download, 28 emails that you need. But right now we are going to focus back again on the bones of growing your copywriting business, which brings me to step 3. Number 3, build a curriculum. You are self-educating when you're an entrepreneur. There is no textbook or predetermined curriculum on all this stuff, right? Instead, you're kind of using a mix of direct practice to learn how to write better, along with a list of perhaps recommended educational tools or books. A few easy tips here. Number 1, pick a goal. See how specific you can get with it. And number 2, figure out some sort of estimate as to how long this will take you. You want to do this either top down or bottom up. So top down being scheduling out how much time you can commit to this every single week until the job is done. Bottom up being setting yourself a deadline out there and then working backwards to fit things in. Third, you want to select your materials. More on that in a sec. And fourth, set those deadlines. That's really important. As you get going, I would recommend doing some sort of a weekly review to see how you did with that goal you set. Was it a little too ambitious? Can you fit in a bit more? I talked more about that in a video I did all about my weekly routines, and I will link it below as well. Let's talk about selecting your educational materials. I have found that I do need a mix of digital and online tools as well as actually printed curriculum and materials, aka books. I would say as you're thinking about building a writing business, maybe even start with books. Because I think that if your heart doesn't race or speed up when you read about direct response copywriting or sales techniques, then maybe a sales copywriting business isn't quite the right writing business fit for you. Maybe content marketing or branding is more your thing. One of my absolute favorite books that I recommend to anybody when they email asking how to start a writing business is Six Figure Freelancer. It's a little old school, but it puts down the basics and the framework of starting a writing business no matter what kind you start. It can be a little tough to benchmark specifics when it comes to your copywriting skills, so try to get as specific as you can with something concrete. My friend Justin wrote 100 headlines every day for 100 days, and there are also so many writing challenges out there. National Novel Writing Month comes to mind, but see how specific those are? I also want to shout out the Copywriter Club's killer resources, Kira, Copy Big Sis, and Rob, Copy Dad. They are the best. Their content is so great. And boy, I wish they'd been around in my first few months and year of starting my copywriting business when I wasn't quite sure about my pricing or anything. They're unbelievably helpful. Don't forget, writing business or not, I have that checklist of 28 email templates that you need to have on hand to run your professional small business, and I would recommend hopping below to grab it. If you're curious about how I set up my week as a work from home paid writer, then you'll want to watch this video next where I take you behind the 3 routines that I don't miss every single week. If this video was helpful for you, you know the drill. Hit that like button and hit subscribe if you haven't yet.